I'm looking for a pure God in my black, sin-stained reflection. I'm looking for God to wash my sin away. I'm looking for a skin-friendly bleach that won't burn me when I bathe in it. I'm looking for enough soap to wash all of the audacity out of my mouth. I'm looking for my dignity. Would you please give that back to me? I'm looking for love that's not based on a fetish. I'm looking for love, but my daddy would be a close second. See, I'm looking for a safe place to hide the love that I sometimes have for myself. I'm looking for the love that they tell me my people once had for themselves. I'm looking for my dignity. Would you please give that back to me? I'm looking for a magnifying glass so I can try to find the person you think you're talking to. Do you know who I am? That's funny, neither do I. So I'm looking for a pass to go back across the Atlantic Ocean. See, I'm looking for pieces of a sunken slave ship to replace the missing pieces of my withered spine. I need peace in a war zone. I need asylum from the war being waged on my dignity. Speaking of which, I think you're still holding mine. Would you please give that back to me? I'm looking for the hotel concierge that I dissed because I thought he was too black to be cordial without an underlying motive. I'm looking for health insurance to get treatment for the mental illness that makes his face look criminal to me. I'm looking for a new Bible. Mine got blood-stained in Charleston, South Carolina. I am looking for some shoe polish so I can do you a favor where your foot is on the back of my neck. You see, I was looking for my dignity, but the piece that you took, you keep it. See, you, sir, need it so much more than me. I wrote this poem after something humiliating happened to me in Birmingham, Alabama. It was my first summer internship, and then first day in the job, first day in Birmingham, and my team went to the hotel restaurant after work, and I went with them. I was the only one that was underage, so I walk up to the bartender, and I ask, "Can I please have a Dr. Pepper?" So he goes to the back to get it from me, and there were two older men sitting at the bar, mid-50s, 60s. One of them turns around to look at me, and he says, "What are you looking for?" I said, "Nothing," just like that. And he jumped. I'm sorry, excuse me. I said, "I have everything I need. Thank you." You see, he had assumed I was a prostitute and that I was lingering around the bar looking for customers and that I wanted him to be my first customer. You see, time stopped for a minute, and I felt dirty and guilty and sorry all at the same time. I tried to reason in my head the reason why he thought those things about me. Maybe it was something I said. I convinced him of my occupation without having ever looked in his direction. Or maybe it was something I was wearing because I looked exactly how I do now, black slacks and a professional blouse. Think about the last time you were emotionally impacted by something or someone. If you'd had a mic or a megaphone at that moment in time, how would you have spoken it? Do you believe that expressing your heart in this manner might have eased any of the confusion? Well, this is the power of spoken word. I'm challenging you to think of spoken word as something other than lines that nobody can really relate to or understand. I'm proposing that there is as much wonder in as there is danger in not recognizing the power of spoken word. And I'm inviting you to listen as I show you how spoken word and storytelling is a vital part of history, how it allows healing through the release of emotion and at the very same time builds fortified communities. Let's go back in time. Before we ever wrote our stories, we spoke them. Take, for example, the griots of West Africa. See, griots in African culture are storytellers. In addition to being musicians, poets, historians, amongst numerous other occupations and roles, see, their unique purpose in life is to act as a living library for their communities. They keep the history of their people using song, poetry, and the spoken word. This brings me to my first question. What happens when we choose silence over sharing our story? What if the griots had never spoken the names of those forgotten kings and warriors? Alex Haley, the famed author of Roots, is quoted saying that when a griot dies, it is as if a library has been burned to the ground. So imagine, every single time you choose silence over sharing your story, this magnificent display goes up in flames. Your history, or rather our history, is lost. And those who do not know their history are doomed to repeat it. Spoken word has the incredible power to heal through the release of emotion by giving clarity to the speaker even in the midst of chaos and confusion. In fact, there is liberation for the one who chooses to express themselves by telling their story to anybody who would listen. You see, writing that poem to that man in Birmingham allowed me to finally be at peace with myself. And it gave me the strength to tell that story without the taste of bitterness lingering on my tongue, without anger consuming me. You see, when we open our library and invite others in to share our story, we ourselves are freed from chains of confusion, and we in turn have the freedom to liberate others. M. Scott Peck, the 20th century psychiatrist, he was famous for writing a book entitled The Road Less Traveled. Peck stated that there could be no vulnerability without risk. There could be no community without vulnerability, and there can be no peace and ultimately no life without community. Spoken word builds community. See, to open your chest and bear your heart out, whether it be in an everyday conversation or on a stage, is extremely frightening. But Peck implied that vulnerability is the very essence of community. The community is defined as a feeling of fellowship with others. When we choose to get past that fear and share our story, we are extending a hand to those who are listening to us and give them the opportunity to reach back and say, yes, I've seen real beauty. Yes, I too, unfortunately, have suffered from ignorance. Tifara, hey, I've had my dignity ripped from me too. And I too have had life given to me. See, the griots of West Africa used their gifts to channel that feeling of fellowship by building walls of fortitude between people who knew from whence they came and had a vision for where they were going next. This is the power of spoken word. So I'll ask you one last time, what happens when we take stories, when we take expression, when we take the spoken word and share it without restraint, with no fear? Well, the pain of life becomes just a little easier to bear. We become stewards of our community, laying a foundation strong enough to withstand adversity when it comes. So I'm challenging all of you to take your place as a world-class storyteller and plant a seed in the earth that's going to grow to shade generations to come. And let us together be the griots of this generation. Thank you.